Now let's cover cultural awareness and the importance of knowing what's going on in the world. Very often brands have to be on top of what their audience is actually going through, their daily lives, the things that they're talking about online and in other aspects of their lives. So it's very important for you as a creative to have a clear understanding of what people are talking about and what's happening in the world. You may have your favorite news site that you visit every day. Obviously, there's Twitter, there's social media. It's very important to stay up to date with the cultural nuances of the day. Very, very often as well, brands get it completely wrong. For example, on Twitter, when brands want to jump onto the bandwagon of a hashtag that's trending, they often don't research what that hashtag is actually talking about, and they end up making a faux pas, a social mistake, because they didn't know what the conversation was really about, and they just injected themselves in there and face a lot of backlash. So it's important to know what the conversation revolves around and how you can be relevant in that space. So here's an example of when brands make certain cultural mistakes. This is an ad that the Yellow Pages did in the Toronto subway with the copy that says, "Find out if bibimbap tastes as fun as it sounds." So what's wrong with this ad? Well, for starters, bibimbap is not a noodle dish. Now, a quick Google search would have told them that. So this makes the Yellow Pages come across as perhaps a little bit lazy, but most of all, culturally insensitive. In this example, we see an ad for a mattress brand called Curl On with the copy that says "Bounce Back." Now what they've done is they've inserted their own brand into the life story of global icon Malala Yousafzai, who was tragically attacked by the Taliban, but resiliently rose up and continued with her life to receive numerous awards. The main problem here is that the image of a young child being shot is always going to be a very disturbing and upsetting visual, and they faced a lot of backlash for this, understandably. Brands also face a lot of pressure to be witty and very quick on social media. Sometimes that backfires. Here's an example of how.
Okay, once again, before you jump into a hashtag, make sure you know the context. Especially if you're a brand. Hey, I'm Jillian on Buzz60. DiGiorno Pizza is facing the wrath of the internet after tweeting #WhyIStayed. You had pizza. It would be harmless if Why I Stayed wasn't about domestic violence. After the release of that horrifying video showing Ray Rice knocking out his then fiancée, now wife Janae, some are wondering why she would continue to be in a relationship with him. Domestic violence is a serious and at times complicated issue, so people took to Twitter and showed solidarity using the hashtag #WhyIStayed. The reasons range from physical threats to feeling too embarrassed to ask for help. Unfortunately, DiGiorno didn't do research before tweeting, since there's so much pressure for brands to be vocal on social media. Now the usually very funny and engaging Twitter feed is filled with apologies. DiGiorno is pretty good at Twitter, so they're handling this epic fail the best way possible, acknowledging it, accepting blame, and sending out heartfelt personal tweets, as opposed to auto-replying. And when it comes down to it, a careless tweet followed by an instant apology is still better than this.
I think the messages take the stairs.
The messages, when you're in an elevator, there's a camera.
In this next example, we can see that sometimes brands want to jump on bandwagons. There's a lot of movements happening in the world today, a lot of protests, and brands want to be culturally relevant amongst their target audience. Sometimes that works in their favor, but other times it really doesn't. Take a look at this ad from Pepsi from a few years ago. So why did this ad not go down so well with people? Well, for starters, they borrowed imagery and sentiment from important movements like Black Lives Matter, for example. They took protesting and made it almost benign, something joyful, something that you can enjoy with your friends, when protesting in reality is pretty serious and can often turn quite violent. They inserted their brand into this context by implying that if you just shared a Pepsi with the authorities, the world would be a much better place. What do you think of these examples? So as I've mentioned before, it's important to stay up to date with news and trends. There's various places that can help you with that. In my case, I use social media places like Twitter, sometimes Instagram, and there's various other websites as well that I visit. I've got my favorite news websites. I've got different pings on my phone when something happens. There's also Google Trends that you could use as a tool to know what people are talking about and searching online. Google Trends is an amazing tool because you can see what people are searching in a small town or village in your country, what keywords they're using, how they phrase certain things, what they're interested in on that specific day. And there's another form of advertising that is relevant to this, and that's called tactical advertising, where you use the news of the day and you act very, very quickly to introduce a message that is relevant for your brand to the thing that is happening on that day. It's a great way to make a good impact amongst your target audience because it shows that your brand connects with them, understands what they're talking about, stays up to date with what they're going through in their lives. And it also helps further your message so that you're not just selling them products, but you're also creating a connection with them on a personal level. When it comes to dealing with a target audience, remember that it's people you're speaking to. It's everyday people. It's your friends, it's your family, it's even yourself. Now, it's important to remove yourself from the context. Because remember, you might not be into the thing that you're selling. For example, I'm not really a whiskey drinker, yet I'm tasked with the problem of selling whiskey to an audience that do like whiskey. I might not like to use Apple products, for example, but that doesn't matter. My job is to sell those to the people who do. So it's important to take your own personal tastes out of the equation when coming up with ideas for your target audience. Now we'll go through a brand's tone of voice, what a tone of voice is, and how it's very important to always stick to your brand's tone of voice. So a tone of voice is basically what your brand sounds like and the character that they embody. The best way to explain what a brand's tone of voice is to think of a brand as a person at a party. Who are they at that party? How do you engage with them? How do you remember them? The next day, do you remember this brand or this person as being loud, as being quite reserved, as being very interesting to talk to? That's all conveyed through brand tone of voice. So I've prepared a document that will cover all of these things. Let's go to it and interrogate what brand tone of voice is. The brand tone of voice is a consistent way for a brand to convey their message. A consistent tone of voice also builds trust amongst target audiences, and it comes through in the way a brand looks and sounds. Think of a brand as a person at a party. How does this person come across when you meet them? Are they funny? Are they confident, easygoing? Or are they more direct? A tone of voice must have resonance and build trust through familiarity. Let's take a look at some different examples of brand tone of voice. Some brands are the life of the party. They're loud, they're boisterous, they're fun. They make you feel as if life isn't to be taken too seriously, and it's good to stay young at heart. Fanta is a really good example of this. Then you have the cheerleader. They're supportive, sincere, empowering. They're always willing to sing your praises, and they celebrate what makes you, you. Dove is very, very good at doing this. Then we have the strong, silent type. Competent, humble, self-assured. They make you feel safe. They place substance over style. Then we have the happy chappy. They're friendly, they're positive, they're cheerful. They're always putting you in a good mood, and they're always finding the positive in every moment. Coca-Cola are the kings at this. Then we've got the designated driver, the reliable, thoughtful, intelligent type. These brands always make you feel like you can count on them. Trust goes a really long way in this world, and brands who adopt this tone of voice tend to be financial services brands. Then we've got the comedian. They're absurd, hilarious, and often self-mocking. It's always worth it to be in their company and engage with them. And they give you the important reminder that humor is a very powerful human emotion. Old Spice are extremely good at doing this. Next up, we've got the instigator. They're innovative, inspirational, informed. They're the go-to ones for cool new things. They're always pushing for excellence, and they're always the first ones to let you know that there's a new interesting thing that you should try. Then we've got the adventure junkie. Brave, passionate, excitable. They make you feel as if this world is this fascinating thing that you need to go out and explore. They're also very descriptive and excellent storytellers. Then we've got the cheeky bugger. They're witty, irreverent, easygoing. They make you feel as if it's refreshing to not conform. They always end up putting a smile in your mind. Carlsberg beer is really good at this. Lastly, you've got the unique one, the authentic, curious, and different one. They make you feel as if you're in charge of your own destiny, that you march to the beat of your own drum. The lasting impression they leave you with is that trying new things makes life a lot more interesting. These were just some examples of brand tone of voice. Which other ones can you think of?
Now that we've gone through a brand's tone of voice, in the next lesson we will cover the research aspects that needs to go into this process. We'll research the category of whiskey, we'll research your competitors, and we'll research what the brand has done before.